Patchwerk though, man, this is it, man. This is like the mecca of all studio.
And it's top notch, you know what I'm saying? Why would you work anywhere else?
Pink, Usher, Outkast, Goody Mob.
I always enjoy coming to Patchwerk because you know, it's quality. You know, it's got the best facilities here for recording. A lot of people with experience. Even if you walk through the halls here at Patchwerk, you'll notice, you know, I mean, the plaques are not on the walls just to be there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of great music, a lot of great acts have come through these halls over the last few years, and it's made Patchwerk like an institution in Atlanta.
They think about Atlanta in regards to the urban music, in regards to how Atlanta is, that they think about. They think about Magic City, they think about Club 112, and if you're in the music business, you think about Patchwerk Studios.
We decided to do a little record thing, and the name Patchwerk was because we was all from the Patch. I was a neighborhood, the Patch.
It originates from our neighborhood. We grew up in a neighborhood that was primarily cabbage plantations before it became commercialized industries and residential areas. It was all pretty much farm areas where a lot of farmers grew cabbage plantations. So as families moved into the neighborhood, we went to school together, we grew up. The nickname, generations before us, was Cabbage Patch.
So we started as a record label.
Patchwerk was the label, the brainchild of basically, Bob, Curtis, and myself. And we got a deal with Priority Records, put out 2 albums. Or did we put out 1? Who knows? I can't remember anymore.
Patchwerk came about right on time, like 95. I mean, you only had Outkast. Outkast came out, I think, 94. The Face Records was a big part of that whole putting Atlanta on the map.
And I was out here playing, and John was in LA rapping. So we do a lot of recording out there. So we decided, okay, we'll set up an office. I had my man BJ, Norman Kerr, run the office in LA. And I went to Stanford with him. He was a college friend. And we had a little record label. Then out here, we set up a little studio.
It really started in Bob's house in Alpharetta. Sorta. That's where the idea started. And that's where he had bought some little bullshit equipment. I think Bob wanted to be a producer. I think he still might favor himself as a producer. Raz came out here a couple times, but then basically where it really started was in LA in my apartment. We wanted to just press up some singles, old school, pressed up some 12 inches, and got on the streets and got with it, out the trunk. And it popped, it got, the single popped. And Bob was still in Atlanta. That's when Bob had the idea to do the studio, because he kind of had a studio, little makeshift studio in his basement. And then he got tired of people being in his house all night. Stuff come up missing, people eating the food out the fridge and all that. So he started looking for a studio spot. But that was going on simultaneously while I was in LA. You know what I mean? I was putting the business plan together and everything for the studio. Bob was down here doing the groundwork, finding the spot, the space, and kind of just did it, man, without even really knowing what we was doing. He just found a space and bought some equipment and threw it in there.
I had a studio that started flourishing when Outkast and all these other people back in the early 90s were coming up from Atlanta.
So those were some of your first clients?
Yeah, we did I think what set it off, we did ATLian record with Rico Wade, and that just kind of like, I say, was the really launch point, where it kind of confirmed a little bit of validity for us in town that we was a good, solid recording studio.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy, Mr. DJ, Outkast Dungeon Family, Grammy Award-winning producer. Thanks to Patchwerk, the staple of studios in Atlanta. You come to Atlanta, you hear about Patchwerk.
When it was organized noise, they was all together. So that was a period of time where, when they was working on that, Elevators album, and that means Goody Mob was there, Society of Soul was there. Big Rube was there, Peaches, all that stuff or whatever. It was just like a good time. We all was kind of still naive to it. There was a big to do to get them as a first client. I mean, I came from school from LA. I went to school at Michigan State, and I just kind of thought about it. I was like, whenever you think of Atlanta, who do you think about? Who is Atlanta? Who's whatever and rap? And automatically it was Outkast. So I was like, man, if we gonna get in, we got to get our name on that album. When they opened that album, because everybody that's looking to see where people in Atlanta record are gonna look at the Outkast album. And you know, Bob was playing football, and we called and told him and couldn't really get him to come down, and it wasn't until the season started and we ended up getting 30, 35 tickets for the Falcons game, and Rico and them love the Falcons, so they wanted the tickets, and I didn't want to leave them at will call. I told them they got to come get them. And you can't send one person to come get them. You want the tickets, you got to come. So they all came. We all went to the game. We gave them Bob's jersey. You know, we gave them probably like about a week of studio time for free just to see if they even liked the place. And then after that, it just hit the ground running.
Been working at Patchwerk since its inception. It was one of the first studios where we felt like it was a home vibe for us at the Dungeon family, or just as a group PA, which I used to be in. We first started, I guess, because a guy, Jason Staten, gave us a flyer for the studio. It was me and Big Boy. And at the time, the only place we had ever worked was at the Dungeon, and, you know, probably a studio that was owned by LA and Babyface. But, you know, we kind of might have been a little bit too much to be hanging around that studio. You know, because there was different smells coming from it that weren't candles. So we actually found a spot that was willing to let us, you know, just camp out and make records. And, you know, it was funny, it was fun, because it was like a house. It was like being at the Dungeon, but like an upgraded Dungeon for us. It was extremely professional at Patchwerk for it to be, you know, young guys, a football player, you know, which, you know, can give you the stereotypical, yo, you know, I want to get in the game because I got money. But Bob actually came in and set up a professional spot where we could actually have all our needs taken care of recording. Over the years, we watched it grow into this kind of hub. Like, you know, Patchwerk is now one of those places you have to work if you come to Atlanta. It's one of those places that you want to work if you're from Atlanta because it's comfortable, and, you know, it's everything is taken care of.
You know, they grew a little bit quicker than us, so it was some things that we couldn't do, you know, but as much as we could do, they kept coming back, and we established a relationship, and we got an opportunity to work with pretty much everybody in the Dungeon family. And, you know, I mean, it's with everything, whether it's your first kiss, first time you had sex, first whatever, that was our first client. I mean, I didn't know they was gonna sell 11 million records or nothing like that, so whether they did or they didn't, they were still our first client, so they still would have been important to us. You know, and there's some people that didn't go on to sell a lot of records, but they was there with us when we was riding, so we celebrate them too. It's just like, you know, it's family. We all kind of grew up together. So yeah, so the first place was cool. I mean, we was naive and we was learning, and we just based it on customer service, really. So today it was like a situation where people wanted to work with us as much as we could, but until we took that next step with the technology, they would have to leave. And we try to kill that. We try to keep everybody in Atlanta.
Then we built this new room over here, and in the process, we transferred the old 995 building over here with the same gear, built a new room, and the guy that built that room was a local guy named eBear Design.
They called me one day. They wanted me to move them to this location. They were up the street, and they asked me to move over here. And they asked me for a design and fill out their space.
It started getting to a situation where we had these clients that wanted to work with us because the people that worked here and our engineers were doing a good job, and but they would have to leave because we didn't have the technology. They would have to go to LA to mix, go to New York to mix and cut their songs and stuff like that. So, you know, after about, let's see, 5 years, I remember I kept telling Bob, I'm like, man, you want the A-list clients, but we don't have, you know, the A-list console or whatever. And the name in the game is SSL. That's like the standard, you know, solid state logic. So when we moved out of our building up the street and got this big building, we had enough space where we can do just a big giant console.
When we decided to move, and it was like, okay, Patchwerk needs to take the next step up. We're kind of like, you know, we need to be in the front runner in this whole studio industry around here. They decided to buy the J series, which is the 9000 SSL 9000J, and that was a console that was like, when we first bought that console, that was the top line, best console you will ever have console. And nobody in town had it. The only one even close to around, I think Nashville has some, you know, now, and Miami. But there's nobody else in Atlanta that has the 9000.
We really just pushed forward in the technology side of it, and really, you know, being committed to the technical aspect, the engineering aspect of making records.
Patchwerk did kind of set a standard for that mid-level studio when they first started out. You know, I mean, people that didn't want to go and spending the grip of money that you had to spend at a giant SSL facility back then. You know, Patchwerk was able to say, hey, we got the niche. come on in, we help you out, we'll get you where you go. And then Patchwerk has stepped up with their gear and with their mentality as they've been going, but still not letting the guy out that wants to come off the street and say, hey man, I got a record, I think it's good, I want to cut it.
As you know, I'm sitting at Patchwerk, you know what I mean? And this is basically the foundation of where I started, you know what I mean? I have a building within myself, which is different levels. I go from, you know, when I started DJing clubs, then I went to mixtapes, then I went to radio. Now, you know, I'm a steady producer. And those levels all came through this building one way or another. You know, Curtis is one of my partners. You know, he had a group, Southwest Click, and, you know, I did some records for them, and I got some free studio time, and I really needed to come knock out some beats to get on Young Jeezy and T.I.'s album. And as I progressed on, you know, I've made great relationships with, you know, engineers have worked here like Nico and Jeremy, which is Usher's, you know, engineer right now, which is my engineer as well. And my main mixer, and will always be my mixer, is Leslie Brathwaite. So, you know, that's the type of foundation that I have. You know, he mixes all my records. I bring him here. He understands my sound. He's always have. And Curtis knows that every time I come in and say, Cam, you need some time? Okay, let me get 2 hours, an hour. He's a good dude. He's gonna kick back some way. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's how I came up through Patchwerk.
Now we're committed to the process of making quality, you know, quality audio recordings.
We decided to take the next step, and we had an Atari concept in there, which was a good board. It got us to this point, you know, bought the 9000 and all that. So we decided it's time to move on and get the next step, you know, in evolution, because we had already moved from tape to Pro Tools. So that's going from tape to the computer-based thing. So now it's time, okay, let's make the console work with the Pro Tools. So what we did was we looked into SSL again, because they're kind of, you know, the flagship of consoles. They're the people that make the console that you want.
Hi, I'm Don Worspa from Solid State Logic in New York. I'm very, very happy to be here at Patchwerk in Atlanta, sitting right now in Studio 995, which is now sporting a brand new Duality 48-channel console, which they've just installed recently in a refurbished room. This joins the 9000J series console that's over in Studio 9000. And we're very, very pleased that Patchwerk is now an all SSL facility. And we're very proud of our relationship with Bob and Curtis and the entire staff.
We totally renovating a new room, an old room. It was the 995 room. We're doing a total renovation of that, adding new computer hardware, new Pro Tools system.
They got different floors now. All the stuff is gonna have to change up. So it's gonna be interesting though. It's gonna be good though. It's a big and good change from what they did have.
A new recording console, taking out some of the older, outdated pieces of gear that do not provide the same functionality, but really making it to basically a premier level, or what we call premier level, where, you know, you're gonna have all the functionality that's needed to record a record.
That's a fairly big thing, because obviously the Duality takes advantage of all the stuff that we've managed to do with the DAW control in a straight mix environment that allows you to work a lot more efficient in terms of mixing with incoming Pro Tools sessions or DAW sessions. That basically allows you to go in and fine-tune stuff that people have done externally. Having the 9000 as a recording medium is probably one of the best consoles for actually tracking and doing large sessions, and it gives you the traditional approach that everybody knows and are familiar with the inline console and you know, big recording. So and the fact that both consoles sounds amazing is going to hopefully mean that the two rooms will pair off each other really well. What this does for Patchwerk and does for its clients is provide an environment that now fully integrates a traditional analog, super analog console from SSL with all of the features that engineers and producers and artists have come to expect, and integrates with the workstation environment, making it very, very simple and very straightforward for the artist and producer to get the kinds of results that they have been dreaming of getting in a familiar and powerful environment.
It's just to really improve not only the clients, you know, quality of their recording and their experience in the studio, but it's also to to utilize the talents of the engineering staff, because the engineering staff have trained themselves and have followed the new technology trends that to get back the best sounding audio. So we have to deliver for our engineers, you know, the best component sets, the best pieces of gear, so that they can in turn give it right back to the clients and to the music.
Leslie, one of the top engineers in mixing in the country, is a really good friend of mine. We do a lot of business together. When I first started recording Jeezy's album, this is basically where we recorded all the records, you know.
This room, the 9000 room, was the best room in the South, period. And I was just like, I got to be in there. So I came over and I just started kind of massaging my relationship with Curtis and being like, look, I need to be in the room and I need to book sessions and down. And after a while, it just kind of became so constant that I went to Curtis and was like, you know, I would love to be, you know, just here all the time. And we just kind of made it work.
I think that the average artist coming in there doesn't understand the state of the art technology. I think that because of the brand that they built and how cosmetically beautiful the place is and what everyone has heard about it, it makes people, independent artists, artists that aren't here, that want to do work in Atlanta, it's the place to go if you are serious about being in the music business. From that standpoint, I think that just off the many people that have recorded there and the positive, always the positive feedback and reviews that people give the facility and the name, it makes people always want to go and work there. You know, so I think the more the technically educated people understand the importance of the big board in the back room and all the modern technology, but the average person just wants to be in Patchwerks because of what that name means and what the name has meant over the years, and it's basically been the best. And that's
the sound quality and the engineers that work here. You know, they right on point of what they do. You know,
this place is you know, it's just not a normal studio.
Yes, I did not invest, and I'm paying for it to this day. Patchwerk is blowing up, and my pockets are getting thinner. Can I get in now, Curtis, Bob? Where y'all at?
To show you the brand that they've built, it's a real brand in regards to studios across the country. You got the Hit Factory in Miami. You used to have the Hit Factory in New York. A host of studios in LA, and Patchwerk Studios is the #1 most talked about and most popular studio in Atlanta.
Because you gotta look at the history. A lot of the people that used to work at Patchwerk back in the day is the ones running Atlanta right now with different labels and artists or whatever.
A lot of people. I mean, when I look at the Grammys and anything, like all them people, I look at stuff, it's like, wow, you know, sometimes you take that for granted, but if you sit back and think about it, it's big that all these people came through here, and this was a catalyst for, you know, Patchwerk was really one of the main ingredients on Atlanta becoming the hip-hop or the urban music mecca that it is now. They played a real substantial role in that. You know, not just being a studio, but just relationships. I remember going to football games, all the artists, you know, Outkast, Goody Mob, TLC, all of them used to come to the game. We had a whole section. And that was all networking and things like that, doing the parties. And now they doing the music university, you know, all that stuff. I mean, people like you, people like Kai that's doing videos, Laura doing her thing, over there with Jazzy and them, and Jason, Clay. I mean, all of that stuff came out of being at that studio, hanging out.
Patchwerk, man, for me in Atlanta, everything music-wise started from Patchwerk. You know, I'm originally from New York, moved down here. I had internships and stuff like that before I came down here, and I wasn't in school, so I was looking for a place to intern at. And you know, I went to Little Face and called up the So Def, and they, you know, you had to be in college and intern for credit and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of like had a catch. So long story short, I ended up at Patchwerk because of that. It was like BJ Kerr was like, he was running the label. So I started actually working for the label at Patchwerk, interning for the label. I started interning doing college radio promotions. So, you know, I learned a lot and you know, got introduced to a lot of people through that system, you know, and then eventually I ended up working in the studio at nighttime working the front desk.
A little bit tough time to time because some of them leave and you wish they didn't leave, but you gotta be happy because people come back. And that's what kind of keeps us going. So when Kai's doing a video, if he got a studio shooting, I know we doing it here. You know, if T.I. got to do an interview, then I know they gonna call me. And you know, and so on. So we never really held anybody back, and we just try to keep telling people, you know, you can go out and rule the world, and that's what we've been trying to give people. So the other people in the industry, I guess they respect that because they keep hiring my people. Quit plucking away my employees, people.
Patchwerk, to me, in my opinion, was one of the first studios to really cater towards the hip-hop artists. It just had a natural urban feel to it. You could really stretch out and be comfortable at Patchwerk. From the lounge area, Bob always went out of his way to make people comfortable in his studio. And having Curtis around, you know, to me is probably like the best studio manager in the game, because both of them just go out of their way to make the artist feel comfortable, whether the artist has a major record deal or it's just people coming in, being signed, or not being signed rather, and trying to get a record deal. They would always go out of their way to make sure that their clients were comfortable.
You know, you got a lot of different studios come and go, you know. But I think it's a staple, and for the most part, I think it's just professionalism and you know, customer service. They got a good reputation, they got a good brand, and you sing probably better than anybody else.
To be frank, you know, looking at the era that we're in, is the digital era. Most major recording studios are, you know, going out of business. New York to LA, and you know, Patchwerk is still here, it's thriving. What I've noticed, you know, when I come here is it's just a nice environment, and sometimes it's the vibe that helps create the records. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've noticed that a lot of, you know, famous artists and producers feel comfortable here. Some people buy, you know, have enough money, get a studio, and realize they like the vibe over here, and that's an interesting thing. That's a powerful thing to have too. So, you know, Patchwerk's just gonna be here.
And if I'm surrounded by good people, I feel comfortable. You know, I mean, they give you a fair shot if you're an intern or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I grew with a lot of these people, like my main man Leslie, who worked here. He mixed all my songs. Been mixing all my songs since the first day I met him. You know, he a good spirit, and shit. If I can say shit happens here. You heard me? They make it happen. That's what I'm saying.
Got money to burn before I bring in the hook. Jump before you can go and put this year in the book.
Here you have every single tool available to make things sound exactly how you want them to sound. And the problem with, you know, being in a home setup or a smaller studio or studios that don't have enough equipment is that you just can't achieve exactly what you want to achieve, and you can't get things to sound exactly how you want them to sound. But here, when you're in a room like this where you know, it's carte blanche as far as equipment, you can do anything. You can do it. Everything that you can imagine in your brain can come to life, you know, through the speakers.
My first experience in the studio with a real studio was Patchwerk recording in Atlanta. The vibe is great. You know, I mixed a few big records in that big room. You know, Don't Mess With My Man won a Grammy for that. I mixed some Jagged Edge stuff in there. I just really, you know, love the vibe here, and it's all good, man.
Coming through Patchwerk for a while, you know what I mean? I started coming through here back in the day, you know, when TLC used to fall through here or whatever, you know, I was working out of Red Zone or whatever. I used to mess with Don Vito. We did the Cherish project, and we came through here. And so when I started working with D-Money and Asylum in Atlantic, you know, we started getting a good sound up out of here. We did the Laffy Taffy. And,
right here?
Right here.
Okay.
It was kind of cool, so I came back to work on my project.
Patchwerk it moves from just being a building and a studio to kind of like almost a movement within itself. And it's important because people have to be able to associate the building with the name, with the studio, with the people. And that movement kind of grows. And Patchwerk used to be a room down the street, and now Patchwerk is, you know, that place you mentioned when you're coming to Atlanta. So it's very important. You know, I go to Full Sail all the time, the school I graduated from, and I do seminars and talk to the kids. And the first thing, you know, they ask me a million questions about Patchwerk.
And networking. And it really wasn't a place like that before, because there were other studios like Silent Sound, and what was the other one? Tree. What's the the other studio?
Tree Sounds,
Tree
Southern
Sounds. Yeah, Southern Tracks. It wasn't a place where the community, the hip hop community, the urban community went and hung out, and that's what Patchwerk was. I mean, every Friday at Patchwerk, the old Patchwerk, everybody be out there washing their cars in the parking lot. You know, that's back when noontime was kicking off. They had all the hot producers. We used to have a softball games, had barbecues in the back of in the parking lot of the studio. You know what I mean? That was real big on building the community.
We was like, I think the first 10 years, and I had to talk with Bob about this, is that we wanted to brand ourselves in the industry. So like any artist, any producer, any A&R, any manager, they better know about us. They should have heard about us.
Patchwerk, my bad, man. Patchwerk is a serious place.
Patchwerk Studios? Patchwerk Studios, 6 o'clock Volume 1. What's up to Curtis Daniels, Bob Whitfield, everybody at Patchwerk, man. A lot of people came through Patchwerk, a lot of stuff recorded at Patchwerk from the early Outkast stuff, TLC stuff, all of the legendary smashes out of ATL. Majority of them recorded at Patchwerk Studios. It's a legendary spot in Atlanta. You know, I go back to the first spot before the college tore the first spot down, and they moved further down on Hemp Hill.
After we hit the 10-year mark, we started consciously trying to brand ourselves with the general public. So if you look, we've done art shows, fashion shows, music university, producers ball, Thursday Night Live, unsigned artist compilation, just different things where it's been more so introducing the general public to us.
You know, we do a lot of events, you know, basically to give opportunities to independents and also to bring together the music community.
I'm from Chicago, came all the way from Chicago for Music University. The experience was great, met a lot of people, all the panelists were great, but honestly, the people who were here attending the conference same as me, those contacts are just as valuable. So I really loving the experience and the hospitality of everybody at Patchwerk. Honestly, I love it. I'll be back at the next one, and eventually I'll be here as a panelist. So
we had about, 60-odd something people come out and, just embrace the whole idea of, the music community coming together and learning together.
Speaking from my own personal experience, you can spend a lot of years just kind of trying to figure out what to do simply because of the lack of knowledge. And programs such as this allows the networking and the information to flow freely.
We're just doing a lot of good things as far as the music community goes.
This is like one of the best seminars, one of the best music universities, anything like that I done been to, man.
As a major recording studio, one of the things we want to do is ensure that we have a future in this business.
Everybody comes to Patchwerk and records records. You got Luda, T.I., all of the top-notch artists, from Brandy to Bow Wow to, Sierra to everybody. So you know what it is when you're working at Patchwerk.
It's one of the best in the music industry. I've gone through studios left and right, and I can always find my product here, no matter whether it was done a year ago, 2 years ago, whether it was done yesterday.
To ensure that we have a future, we have to build those next execs.
Started out at the front desk at Patchwerk, let's say about 2001. And from that point, it was history. Met a lot of people, built a lot of relationships. And the name Patchwerk comes with a certain level of class, a certain level of professionalism. So when you go to someone knowing that, and they know that you used to work at Patchwerk, you get a certain level of respect.
We have to build those next big clients that are gonna come and spend money with us and record big projects here. You know what I mean? So Music University and events like I Do Music and things such as that, ensure that future for us.
And it was really awesome having all these different panels and it being broken up. And since I'm a DJ and a producer, I got a lot out of it from both sides. It didn't matter who was talking. It just kind of gave you the whole roundabout situation. And did not feel like I was sitting here for 5 hours or something in a really crowded room. It totally was worth it. I would recommend this program to anybody. And $75, that was nothing. Absolutely nothing for the information you're given.
We find out what the people want, what the independents want, and we give it to them. Because one day, they're not going to be independent anymore.
We at Rick Ross listening party right now.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, the Triller album real cool, man. You know what I'm saying? Glad to see Ross doing his thing, man.
This is Curtis from Patchwerk. Today we're doing the thing for Microsoft and Console Kings. Premiering Halo.
Beyonce Aloysius Hot 107.9. We're over here, Halo 3. It is going down. As you can see, we got Bone Crusher over here.
It's Bone Crusher. Hanging out. Xbox Console Kings. Checking out the new Halo 3.
preparing ourselves for the future. Are you ready for action?
Little John is in the building, Bobby Valentino.
Man, the game off the chain, man. Xbox 360, you know, Halo, man, off the chain.
My name's Aaron Greenberg from Microsoft. We're the guys that bring you the Xbox 360. We're here at Patchwerk Studios, really excited, doing our first event we've ever done in Atlanta. We are previewing to the community here Halo 3.
We're at Patchwerk right now on some little big grown man, big kid type shit. You know what I'm saying? You see all these grown men in here. I ain't seen a kid yet.
We've been overwhelmed with the response from the hip-hop community, especially the southern community here. Everyone loves Halo. They can't wait to get their hands on Halo 3.
So far it looks off the chain.
Man, the game is off the chain. I've been sitting right here watching Cujo play and murking.
Halo 3, when it launches on September 25th, will be the largest entertainment launch of the year. So a bigger opening day than any movie, bigger than Spider-Man, bigger than Harry Potter.
I'm CJ Peters, I'm the CEO, founder of Console Kings, and today we're doing an exclusive preview of Halo 3. We decided to do it here at Patchwerk because Patchwerk is the bomb. I mean, it's like the best studio in the South. So why not get the best studio in the South, the best entertainers in the South in one place for the best video game that's gonna come out.
You know, when we're in the studios, that's what we do, man. We play this right here, man. Halo. Yeah.
My name is Brian Gerard from Bungie Studios. We're the makers of Halo and Halo 3. Came down here from Seattle today to Patchwerk Studios to hang out with a bunch of guys from Atlanta and play some Halo. So that's what we're here for. Halo 3 is our final game in this trilogy. It's the biggest, best Halo game yet. This is about Master Chief kicking a bunch of aliens' asses, trying to save the planet. We've also got a really fun multiplayer game as well. So we got 8 guys downstairs, all going head-to-head, shooting each other, blowing each other up. And it's just great to be able to come out here, meet some people in the wild, sort of see the connection between hip-hop and Halo. I think they go really well together. And it's great that so many guys here are good fans of Halo. It's awesome to get out and meet all these folks today.
The goal for me is to be like McDonald's, you know? Like everybody know who we are. It's cool if the industry know you, but I really want everybody, us to be like a household name.